Hi, this is Kiran. Here I'm going to discuss about AngularJS. Let's see what actually AngularJS is. In this demo, I'm going to cover what actually the AngularJS is and why do we need AngularJS and how it is going to be help in our applications. And we're going to see some of the features of AngularJS. Let's see. So let us talk about AngularJS. Before going to this AngularJS, let us talk about internet. So in the internet, our computers are going to be connected in a huge complex distributed network. Okay, so if you want to establish the communication between two devices, either you need to follow server based communication or P2P network communication. Okay, so building a P2P network is very complex in the internet, so we follow the server based communication, server client architecture, just like this. Now here in this scenario, a client is a web browser which is going to request some information from remote system. Okay, that remote system we call as a server, which is going to serve uh, what are the requests that is made by the client. Okay, in our scenario, a client is nothing but our web browser. A server is a system or a PC which is located remotely far away from the client. This server is going to be handle huge amount of data and huge amount of information. Okay, in order to process that huge amount of data and information, we need to develop some application logic over here. Okay, so in order to do such application logics, we have a lot of popular languages in the past, like we have PHP, Java, Python, Node.js. Of course, Node.js is the latest one, so it's not there in the past. CGI, ASP.NET, Perl, Ruby, all these things comes under as a web server technologies. Okay, so these are the languages that we have seen in the past, which is used for server-side development. Why? Because the entire application logic has been done in this server only. Here the client is a dummy one where it will send a request or it is asking for the information from the server by using a request. The request will be in the form of a URL format like this. Once if a client sends an URL to this particular server, server identify this URL. According to that, it will run some application logic inside this particular server by using any one of these logics. If there is any database interaction, then it will go for the database and fetch some information from the database. For example, username and password for the Facebook, like that. Okay. Once if you got such information, this server dynamically create a HTML pages. Okay, that is to be displayed on your client browser. Those HTML pages sent to the client as a response. Here, the response from the web server can be of any types like this. It might be a HTML page, it might be an XML data, it might be a JSON data, or the image or file. Okay, so once you got the response, the HTML web browser, our Chrome or Safari, is going to display that HTML content on your screen. Okay, so here the client is very dummy. Most of the work is going to be done at the server in the past. As the time goes on, some of the application logic has been shifted from server to client side. At that time, there we need a language to run such application logic in the client side. Okay, so the language is JavaScript. With the introduction of JavaScript, most of the web-based application has been dynamically evaluated at the client side only. So that means whatever the application logic that we have shifted to the client side, we are executing that application logic here only, not at server. So by doing so, we reduce the burden of the server. So in this context, I'm only talking about a single client and single server. In real time, a server is going to serve millions of users at a time. Assume how much burden it is going to face by the server. That is why application logic has been shifted to the web browser. So we need a language, that is what we are using is JavaScript, okay, in order to do our application logic at client side. So the JavaScript solves most of the application logics and solves the problems with the dynamic HTML content, and it becomes a very much popular language in our client side programming. Okay, so in the coming future, okay, so almost all the application logic is going to be shifted to the client browser. So there won't be any application logic happens are going to be run inside the web browser, sorry, web server. So this web browser is going to execute all the application logic. So we need a complex architecture programming language, or we need a complex framework in order to do all this application logic at the client side itself. If you do so, if you do all the application logic here, we can reduce the number of requests made by web browser to the web server will be reduced. So that the web server is going to act as a simple data API. That means the web server is going to be act as a simple database interaction server. Why? Because almost all application logic has been shifted to this particular client side. Because of that, there is no programming or programs to execute at the server side in order to do some dynamic HTML. Okay, so all this application logic are going to be executed by most of the popular frameworks. Either can be AngularJS or React.js, something like that. Okay, here comes the concept called AngularJS. AngularJS is the most popular framework which is used to run most of the application logic at the client side. So there comes a concept called SPA, single page applications. Why? Because single page applications is not going to interact continuously with the server. Okay, it's going to interact only once at a time to load the code. For what are the requests that is going to be made by the client browser for next time, it will be either for video, images, or database content only. Not any page loading happens at this SPA architecture. Let's see what actually the SPAs are. See, I told you SPA, single page applications. Single page applications are the applications where it is going to execute most of the application logic at the web browser. Okay, and at the time the web server will become a simple data API. So if you do almost all logic here only, we can reduce the number of requests going to be made to the server. Okay, that can be happen with this single page application. That is why we go for AngularJS. AngularJS is the most popular framework nowadays used by many of the people. Okay, which is developed by Google itself. And I told you it is a full front-end client-side web development framework. I'll explain what actually the framework is. Before that, let us talk about SPS, single page applications. Okay, so for example, in real time, go to your web browser, twitter.com. Go to twitter.com. Yeah. So I have opened a twitter.com here and open the Samsung as well. Samsung.com. Okay. Samsung is not single page application. Twitter is a single page application. Now let's see. Whenever I'm trying to open this particular Samsung internal links, so let us go for soundbar. Just observe the entire screen is going to be refreshed. Okay, even though the logo is same and the what you can call the menu is same, still it is going to refresh the same style and same code. Okay, so if you want to observe this, just go to more tools, click on the developer tools, go to network tab, okay, all URLs, and refresh the page. So let us suppose here already I was there in some link. I want to move to some other link. For example, in the mobile cases, go to smartphone, click on that. When I click smartphone, it's going to refresh the entire page along with the logo and search bar and menu bar, even though the similar items that is going to be look similar in all pages. Okay, now let's see here. You can observe most of the code has been downloaded. Now you have a JS code is there. Okay, and you have some SVG images. Images is common. You can see a lot of JS code is there. You can find a lot of CSS files are there. Page.css, page.css. For every page, we are going to load CSS JavaScript files and any other frameworks files like this. So for every request from the server, I'm going to get JS files, CSS files, some other image files, etc. etc. See, let us go for some other thing. Refrigerator. When I click on this, now observe. Okay, and I can see that again. CSS page.css. Okay, a lot of things has been coming here. I think Samsung has also got updated. Just a second. Just a second. Yeah. So unfortunately, Samsung website got updated. Now I have opened this apple.com. Okay. Now look at this one. So for this Apple, we have a menu is there. When I click any one of these items, the entire page is going to be refreshed. I click on this Mac, even though the logo got refreshed. Okay. So for every page, we are getting logo and the style for this menu. Any other similar items that are there in this website, that is going to be loaded again and again, and it's going to retrieve from the server again and again. So just go to developer tools and your network tab by pressing F12. Okay, now click on this iPhone. Now you can see a lot of CSS code has been downloaded from your server. A lot of JS files has been downloaded from your server. This is called multi-page application, generally we can call, along with some images and videos. Okay, coming to the twitter.com. Twitter.com is a single page application. We don't have multiple pages. We have only single page which got downloaded from the server only once. Okay, so instead of pages, we have page states will be there. These are called page states. These are not pages. Okay, so all code downloaded at once at the time of the twitter.com got loaded. For the next time, what are the links that we're going to click? So just observe here. I'm going to click for the sport news. When I click on it, just observe this logo and observe this sign up button, observe this particular, what you can call this rectangle box. These things are not going to be changed. Why? Because this code already downloaded into your client application. That is my client browser. This is not again get from the server. Just go for this, click on sports, just observe. Logo not refreshed. Okay, only the news got updated. Come to this, when I click on this watch, you just observe the entire page is going to be refreshed. See? So that is the difference. This is called a single page application. This is not a single page application. So in this case, what I'm going to do is, now you can see, you can observe this one also. Go for music. This is not also updated. See, which we have find some changes here, but still it's not changed. Only some part of the page is going to be changed. That is called page states. Okay, just observe the network tab by pressing F12. Okay, click on this. So I just go for this future. Already my code got downloaded into the client browser. Just click on the future. Now just observe, do you find any CSS or JS files? Of course, you do find one or two files. You don't find much. Okay, so here this is not JS, this is not JS. Just go. You have only images. Some images are there. I think this is only I got this much information from there. So here you don't find any JS files. This is not JS file. This is not JS file. Only images are there. No CSS code got downloaded for the next request. No, no, you can see these are images only. Okay, no code downloaded from the server for the next request which is going to be made. Here in single page application, all code got downloaded at once at we send a first request to the server. Okay, now click on news. See, I got something again. Just go here. Do you find any CSS file or JS file here? Only images are there. Okay, you don't find any. See, look at this. All these are JPGs and XHR files only. Coming to the Apple. Okay, just observe this here. Now here we have script file is there. Here JPG, XML files are there. Style sheets, CSS style sheets are there. Script files are there. Every time for every request I'm going to make with the server, it's going to get a code from the server. But this is not case for the Twitter.com, that's single page applications. Got it? So actually AngularJS are meant for these to develop these type of single page applications. Okay, let's go for this one, our PPT. Hope you understand what actually the single page applications. Here we don't have any multiple pages, we have only single page, even though these are called page states. Okay, page state navigations here, not page navigations. Got it? Now let's see. AngularJS is a framework which is used for single page applications, to construct single page applications. Now let us see what actually a framework is. Okay, so I collected a lot of definitions from the internet, but essentially you can go for the general definition. An essential supporting structure of building a website, building a vehicle or an object. Okay, it is supporting structure. A framework is nothing but a supporting structure which is used to create anything. Okay, so AngularJS is nothing but is some sort of supporting structure to create our web applications as a single page applications. Okay, so let's see what actually the framework in some other scenario. Now, will you say this is a framework? Yeah, I can say this one. Why? Because this is some sort of supporting structure to make my drawings. Okay, so what I can draw with this particular thing, a dotted paper. I can draw a cube. I can draw some other things like this. Of course, I have collected these from the internet, and even I can draw some complex architectures like this. So therefore, a dotted paper is a framework which is used to create some complex diagrams or complex graphs or something like that. Okay. Similarly, AngularJS is also something a supported architecture which is used to build up our application with ease. Okay. So here I have placed sorry for that. I have placed a difference between a library and a framework. A library is nothing but a collection of utility classes. Okay, a framework is much more than that. It will support a lot of functionalities. It contains some functionality or sorry for that. Okay, so a framework contains, I told you, some supporting architecture. It contains some functionality. Okay, which is used to extend your code. It's something like everything is there. Just we need to connect the dots. That's it. Just like what we have seen in this case. Just we need to connect the dots so that we can form our application. That is a framework is. Okay, so you can see the difference between a framework and library. This is your code. Your code got called library function calls, but framework is not like that. Frameworks itself contains a library, and framework calls your code. In between this framework, you are going to write your code. Okay, so that your code will be called by this framework. Got it? That is the difference between a library and a framework. In order to implement such type of frameworks, we need a concept called inversion of control. Here, generally the control will flow from code to library. But here, what is happening? This framework is going to call your code. That means the control is going to be inversed. That is why it is called principle of inversion of control. Okay, so this inversion of control involves a lot of mechanisms like subclassing, dependency injection, templating method. All these things we are going to see inside our AngularJS. Why? Because AngularJS is a framework. Okay, yeah, I discussed about all those things. And one important point is the possibility of AngularJS, such complex front-end framework was only happens because of this HTML5 APIs. Because of this, we make the things easy. Okay, without the HTML5 APIs, it's very difficult to build such Angular APIs. Okay, next, right? Hope you understand what actually the AngularJS is and what is the framework, and why do we need AngularJS? Because of to build single-page applications, and we need to reduce the burden to the server. Okay, so we are going to make a complete pure client-side based application. Okay. And we can see in the internet a lot of SPI frameworks will be there, like AngularJS framework, AmberJS, Metro.js, EX3.js, React.js, something. These are different types of frameworks that is used to these are all used to develop single page applications. Okay, I told you because of HTML5 APIs we can build much more sophisticated and complex JS frameworks, JavaScript frameworks. See, SPA runs locally and stores the user data using web storage. This is there inside our HTML5 API. Correct? Right. So here, most popular that we can see is AngularJS nowadays. If you learn one JS framework, it is very easy to navigate other types of frameworks also. Okay, in AngularJS we have a lot of features are there. Like in this course I'm going to cover like templates, controllers and scope, modules, dependency injections, services, routes, interpolations, etc, etc. Okay, let us see one of the features. I want to introduce this templating, what actually the templating in AngularJS. Okay, so let us build up our own application, a simple AngularJS application in this particular demo. Let us go for, let me open my Sublime text editor. This is the tool I'm going to edit my code here. So first of all, what you do is, let us create a workflow environment for you. So here I'm going to create a folder, AngularJS demo. Okay, so this is my work location. Just copy this URL and go to Sublime and open folder. Click on this. See here, I'm not going to cover all the topics. Why? Because I want to make the things short. Okay, I want to make my video to be short. So let us create a new page. Save it as index.html. Just like your regular project, you can create your index.html and you can create a new folder called library, lib. So library got created. In this library, I'm going to store my AngularJS library. Okay, and after that, I'm going to create my custom JS folder, JavaScript folder. Here I don't want this custom JS now. Okay, so anyway, in the Sublime text editor, you just type HTML and press tab. It will automatically complete the basic structure of HTML5. Okay, let's name it Angular demo. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, first of all, you have to download the AngularJS. Okay, go to AngularJS. Just enter Google itself, you can search for this. You'll find a website, angularjs.org. Inside, you can go download this AngularJS1. So you have, I don't want this, a lot of features that are there. Okay. Just I want to get the, I don't want the minified version. I want the uncompressed file. Okay. Or I can use some CDN network. Okay. But I'm going to download my code here, library code. When I click on this, it is going to download in my browser. Go to downloads. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take this file. Just go to your work location. Okay. I have stored this AngularJS file. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I have to attach this file to my HTML page by using a script tag. Inside this, src is equal to lib slash, for the name it is there, angular.js. Angular.js. Now you have to add your own custom JS file. Here I don't require any custom JS file for this simple example. What I'm going to do is I want to start my AngularJS. Okay, So let us suppose try to, this is not a regular HTML page now. This is an Angular template. An Angular template is just like a HTML page which has an extra content, some extra information will be there. Those informations we call them as directives, expressions, etc., etc. Okay, an Angular template got added with these type of things: directives, expressions, filters, etc., etc. Okay, just like a normal HTML page, Angular template is also just like a HTML page which contains some extra content like this. Okay, let's see what all these things. Now try to open this in a browser. Okay, and press F12. Go to console. If you don't find any errors, so that your AngularJS got loaded properly. Okay, if you want to view that AngularJS, just open this. Now you can see this is the uncompressed version of your AngularJS file. Okay, so I have taken this one. So if you want to start your AngularJS application, so generally in some languages we use a main program, right, that which indicates the start of your application. Similarly, if you want to start your AngularJS application, you can use ng app. This is the directive. Okay. So this is the directive that is, I told you already, a template which comes with some extra information like directive, expression filters. I'm adding a new directive, AngularJS library directive, to this HTML page in order to load this, or in order to run this particular AngularJS file. Okay, so that is got loaded into here, ng app. So this is the indication of starting of your AngularJS. Now this is not your HTML page. This is called a template, AngularJS template. Okay. Now here what I'm going to do is, let us open this particular file again in the browser and go to F12, whether you are getting any errors or not. If you do find errors, that means your page is not loaded or your AngularJS is not loaded properly. Okay. So here what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take an input field, okay, with the type text field, and with the name username, something like that. Okay. So let's see. This is your regular user input field, text field. So I want to create an application where whatever the data I'm going to enter here, that should be appended to this document. So see, hi, this is Angular. I want to see such text on the document itself. So if you want to create such application in regular JavaScript file, it will take around 15 lines to build up the code. Why? Because you have to interact with the DOM using JavaScript. Okay, so in AngularJS it is very easy to implement such application. See, uh, this is one important point I want to mention here is the first thing. AngularJS follows MVC architecture, model view controller. Okay, model is nothing but your data that is going to be stored. View is nothing but your HTML page, that is the data is going to be viewed on that particular view. Okay, a controller is a concept which is going to control view and model as well. Okay, we will discuss those things in the actual training. So let's see. So your HTML page is a view. Okay, now I want to create a, that means I want to create a model. Model is nothing but your data to be stored. That means I can, a variable, okay, a database, a file, all this comes under as a model. Okay, so here I'm going to create a variable name. Okay, variable, something like that, variable. Okay, this is my variable name, but this variable name to be attached to this particular view, sorry, this particular user field. Okay, so this view, this is user view, right? So this view, whatever the data that I'm going to enter here, that to be stored in this particular variable. How do I do that? You have to use an Angular directive, ng-model, something like that. This is the directive. Directives are nothing but these are the some sort of attribute formats of your HTML, okay, which is going to direct the control of your program to do like this. What is this here? ng model is a directive which is going to direct whatever the content I'm going to enter here, that to be loaded into this particular variable. So all this string, all this content is stored in this particular variable. Okay, that means you are connecting the view into this particular variable. This variable is not your a simple variable. This is called a model. That is called MVC architecture. Okay, now this view is going to be stored into this particular variable. Nothing but this is model. Okay, this concept is called one-way binding. So whatever the data that you are going to enter in this text field, that is going to be stored into this particular variable with the help of this directive. This directive is not, this is called a controller here. This is a view. This is a model. This is called one-way binding. We call this as a one-way binding. See, I'm not able to do that. So anyway, this is called one-way binding. Got it? So whatever the data I'm going to enter, that will be placed here. Now let us refresh. I'll come back to this. Refresh the page, and here I don't know whether the data is going to be stored here or not. Okay, so for this purpose, what I'm going to do is I want to display whatever the data that is there in this particular variable. Again, I want to transfer it to in this particular what I can call document. Okay, if you want to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a span element in your HTML. There I'm using a ng bind directive that is equal to, okay, variable. That means this particular field will read the data from the view and store in a variable. Okay, that is called one-way binding. Now this particular span element is going to read the content of the variable and is going to be displayed in this particular view. Let us see how it's going to be. Now the variable content going to be displayed into the span. Sorry. So here the input got, what are the input I'm going to enter, that will be stored in this variable. That variable data is going to be stored again, displayed on this particular span element. Okay, let's come back to this. Refresh the page. Hi, this is, now you can observe, this is your span element, this is your input field. That means whatever the data I'm going to enter here, that will be stored in this variable. Again, this same variable data is going to be reflected on this span and the span. That is why I'm able to get the data. So if you don't believe me, you can place a BR tag, okay, and trace it. Now see, BR is nothing but a break new line. Okay, hi. So this Angular JS. See, this is called two-way binding. That means you are binding in one direction by using MVC architecture. This is view, this is model, this is controller. By using this controller, whatever the data that you are going to enter in this text field, that will be loaded into this variable. Similarly, again, this for the second, another reverse binding. Okay, model, view with the help of this particular directive. This is called two-way binding. This is one way, this is another way. Both is called two-way binding. It is very easy to implement two-way binding in our AngularJS, which is most daunting thing in our applications, right? So very easy of representing such applications. See, I did a simple thing. If you go for pure JavaScript application, it will take around 50 lines of code in order to do such applications. Okay, so here we have created simple Angular template. This is Angular template means it is using some extra information, some extra directives along with the HTML code. Now this is not a pure HTML, this is called an Angular template. Okay, so the templating can be formed in different ways that we want to have seen, a directive, an expression. If you want to see an expression, so instead of this, you can write the expression also. Remove this one. Okay, an expression is used to evaluate the, are you going to execute something like, see, an expression is a mathematical expression which is going to execute something on your web page. See, 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, similarly, instead of this maths, I'm going to use a variables. Okay, variable, this variable. So what are the content is there inside this variable that will be evaluated and that will be converted into string. The data is going to be appended to the view. Okay. See, hello Angular. Okay. You can bind. See, templating can be achieved any one of these forms or mix of these things. Directive, expressions, filter, etc. etc. Got it? This is a simple application that you can build in our AngularJS. We will see most complex application when you get into a real-time what you can call code structure. Okay. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for watching my video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos regarding this. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bye.